Welcome to the GSMC Fitness Podcast, the show that helps you sort through all of the trends, new and old, of the fitness world. We'll talk about yoga, running, Zumba, weightlifting, and everything in between. Whether you've got your fitness routine down to a science or you're just starting out and looking for direction, you'll find educational and entertaining information on the GSMC Fitness Podcast.
What's up, guys, and welcome to GSMC Fitness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Cynthia, and happy Wednesday, everyone. How are we doing since last week, the last time I spoke to y'all? I've been having a pretty great week, but I don't know if the rest of the world has. And I say that because if you guys aren't aware or you are not familiar with California, what's going on in California, we are being hit with a tremendous heat wave right now. Over 100 degrees, very humid. It's like really weird because it doesn't ever get humid here. We're dry heat. And this is potentially really dangerous for temperatures to rise that hot in this area because fires happen. We're very prone to fires, and we had lightning, hella random. We had lightning and thunderstorms a couple days ago. And from that lightning with the heat combined, it sparked some fires here in Northern California. So it's really tragic. I mean, if it happened a couple years ago, we had really bad, bad fires happening here in Northern California, and to the point where schools had to close because the air quality is so bad, and it's happening again right now. And I noticed it last night. I headed out of my house around 5:30 p.m. I was on my way to the gym to teach a class at 6. And I stepped out, and it was like the sky was gray. The sun was a bright red color, and the sky was just gray. It looked dirty. And I looked on my car, and there was white flakes all over. And I'm like, what is this? At the time, though, I hadn't find out about the fires or anything. So I didn't know there was a fire. I was just very confused. I'm like, what is going on with the world? Climate change is happening. So I've just been freaking out a little bit over the past week, and then come to find out, someone at the gym tells me that all these fires broke out about an hour and a half away from us. So those are all ashes that we're seeing, in the street, in the car, and it smells like burnt outside. It smells like burnt, like rubber. I don't even know if it's rubber. It just smells like something is burning outside. So it's a really sad, gloomy, hot days over here in California. So hang in there, everybody. Stay cool. Stay hydrated, stay indoors, y'all. Miss Rona is still lingering around. So we just all need to just stay safe during these times. And I did just very briefly speak about climate change, which prompts me to this beginner's guide to a plant-based diet. So I was going to name the title of this episode Beginner's Guide to a Plant-Based Lifestyle. However, I decided to be a little more specific and hone in on the diet part, because I'm not here to tell you to not buy leather, and things like that, because I wear leather, I own designer handbags, and those are made of leather. So I don't consider myself vegan, but I am trying to eat a plant-based diet. So I'm want to just put that out there. Mini disclaimer, I'm not here trying to change the way you live or anything like that. I am just trying to spark a healthy conversation amongst all my listeners regarding, a plant-based diet. What does that look like? What does that consist what does that consist of? What changes would need to be made? I'm also going to share with you guys my personal story of how I first, tried to go vegan about 5 years ago, and it was a total disaster. And I just started my plant-based diet this week, actually. And the reason why it sparked for me is because of climate change. I mean, this crazy weather that's going on here in California, it is literally happening in front of us. Like, you cannot deny it. And the meat industry, the meat and dairy industries are the number one contributors to, all of the negative effects that happen to our planet. And this is facts, y'all. I'm not just saying this just to say it. This is actual facts that I'm talking about. And I was already, prior to this week, I was already mainly plant-based, with the exception of seafood and like eating eggs in the morning here and there. But really, seafood's the one that gets me. Like, I love shrimp, I love crab, but I don't eat it that often. I just eat it during my cheat meals, or like once or twice a week. So I would say prior to this week, I was about 80% plant-based already, with that 20% leaving me, some room for eating eggs. And sometimes I would eat things that contain dairy in it. So with all of this chaotic weather happening here in California, it just kind of sparked in me, like, we need to really take matters into our hands and really create some changes and adjustments in our lives. I feel like if everybody were to set aside their individualistic mindset for a second and just think a little more collectively, like, how can we all together better help our planet? Because, y'all, we only got one. And we have to take care of her because she is not happy with us. So that's what prompted me to start this plant-based diet for myself, at least for the week. So I'm challenging myself to eat 100% plant-based meals from Sunday all the way till next Sunday. For the entire week, I'm eating plant-based meals. So no eggs, no dairy, no seafood, and nothing. Strictly plant-based. And this is just my way of trying to reduce my carbon footprint. This is my way of trying to, just help the planet a little bit. Like, what can I do to better the situation? That's my mindset. And I talked about this on my Instagram, and I prompted my followers as well, to take on the challenge with me. And even if you eat animal products, if you eat meat for every meal, I challenge you for this week, try swapping out one of your meals to be plant-based. So if you are having like a chicken bowl, right? Like a chicken bowl, the ones that they make at Chipotle. Maybe sub the chicken for tempeh or tofu or sweet potato. So that way you're still getting your protein intake in, but just slowly eliminating animal byproducts. Again, I'm not here trying to force this idea on you. I'm just trying to challenge you if you are able to do so, and if you're up for the challenge, to try and save our planet, basically. So that is what prompted me to talk about it on today's episode, since that's kind of been my focus this week. Plant-based meals. I've been trying to create plant-based meals, and I'm on day 3 so far, and I'm hanging in there. I'm not going to lie. I did eat a pretty bland vegan salad yesterday. I followed this recipe that I downloaded, and it contained kale, chickpea, sweet potato. I don't remember what else I put in it, but it looked really tasty and colorful and satisfying. But then when I actually tried it, I was like, ugh, this is kind of bland. So I think there's some flavor. I need to play around with the flavor a little bit and discover more flavors and seasonings, to make my plant-based meals more delicious tasting. So if you are plant-based yourself and you have any tips on how to make your meals a little more flavorful, or just have any recipe ideas, please leave them down below, because I would love to hear from you. And I'm sure many other listeners as well who are tuning in right now who, might be thinking about transitioning into a plant-based diet. I'm sure they would also love to hear from those veterans who've been doing this for, a long time, or even if you've been doing it for a month, a week, like, what has worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? So again, we're going to get into all of those details. We're going to talk about my personal plant-based journey, vegan journey, my failed one 5 years ago, and then this week so far. We'll also get into some of the amazing benefits of being on a plant-based diet, its environmental impact, as well as, a mini meal plan sample for those of you who do want to start being a little more plant-based, or even, like I just mentioned, swapping out one meal, like a dinner or a breakfast. Start with your breakfast, and make it plant-based. So we're going to get into all of that, talk about whole food, plant-based diets right after this break.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast, dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to GSMC Fitness Podcast. So I want to start off today's episode with talking about my own journey, my first failed attempt at eating a vegan diet 5 years ago. And I want to emphasize the vegan diet, because there is a difference, y'all, between being on a vegan diet and being on a whole food plant-based diet. There is an absolute difference. So I want to first share with you guys my experience the first time trying to be vegan. So like I said, this was about like 4 or 5 years ago, and I was living in Santa Barbara at the time, and I watched this Netflix video. Netflix documentary. And it was a documentary that was trending. It was viral. So many people were talking about it. A lot of people were like, you guys need to watch this movie or documentary. It will literally change your perspective on how you think about food. It will make you ponder more about where our food comes from, and it will make you turn vegan. So I was like, what? Those are some pretty outlandish claims. So let me dive into this documentary and see what it's about. And y'all, it was no joke. They were literally showing in the documentary how animals get slaughtered, how disgusting they treat these animals. And not just that, it was a huge emphasis on like poor treatment of animals, but they were also talking about in this documentary, the negative environmental impact that the meat and dairy industries have on our environment. These companies are knocking down, rainforests and building factories and cutting down trees, and to build factories and to raise cows, and cow farts are what are polluting our air, literally. Like all this crazy stuff I was learning about the environment, and that's really what clicked for me. Like, yes, it is really sad how they treat animals, but I think what ticked for me was like the negative impact, the huge negative impact that the meat and dairy industries have on our world, on our planet, on our environment. So literally that same night after I finished watching that documentary, I went to my fridge, I went inside my pantry, and I threw everything out. I was like, I am not eating a single thing with animal. Anything that came out of an animal, I'm like, I am not putting that in my mouth. Okay, I'm not putting that into my body. So literally that same night, I drove to Trader Joe's. I think at the time I already switched out my regular whole milk for almond milk. So in terms of milk, I have not drank milk in, 7 years. So milk was not an issue, but I was like, oh my God, I just went cold turkey with it. I bought, vegan cheese, vegan meat, vegan sausage, like anything that I could put together. And my biggest mistake at that time was that I didn't do any prior research about how to transition into a plant-based diet. Some people are really good at, going cold turkey. They're like, let me just eliminate all of that. But there's a really high chance that you end up like me and you just end up failing because you're trying to eat the same way you were before. You're trying to create the same meals with animal products. You're just switching it out with fake meat and fake cheese. And that's not healthy either. Vegan does not equate to healthy. Just because a food item is vegan or labeled as vegan does not mean it's healthy. Like a vegan hot dog is still not healthy. You feel me? Like just because it's vegan doesn't make it healthy. So really, my whole emphasis on today's episode is about being on a whole food, plant-based diet. So again, learn from my mistakes, do your research on, how to properly put together meals that are vegan, but are also healthy and filled with nutritional value. And I would also ease into the transition. I wouldn't go cold turkey into it. And again, just research like what pairs well with what is it that you want to try and eat, and what can you sub. So I'm not saying if you want to have like a vegan burger here and there is bad, but if you're like trying to eat like a vegan burger on Monday and then like a vegan quesadilla on the second day, and then like just adding vegan meat to everything, to every meal, that's not going to be helpful either. And that's what I was doing. Like I was making vegan pizza with like fake meat, fake cheese. I was literally just eating a lot of processed foods. That's the thing with a lot of these items that are like, cheese and meat, is that they're processed. But a little of it here and there is not too bad. Just don't go overboard how I did. So that was my mistake 5 years ago, and that's why I fell off the vegan lifestyle. I think I was able to uphold it for like 6 months, and then I went back to my normal eating habits. And then I'd say over the last couple of years, I started to slowly transition into being fully plant-based. So again, I started to like eliminate meat from dinners like every other night and just like slowly cut back, So slow and steady wins the race. And there are many arguments about which diet is best for you. And nevertheless, health and wellness communities agree that diets emphasizing fresh, whole ingredients and minimizing processed foods are superior for overall wellness. The whole foods plant-based diet is what does that. And that's, like I said, what we're going to be discussing. The whole food plant-based diet focuses on minimally processed foods, specifically plants, and is effective at stimulating weight loss and improving health. So what we're going to be diving into right now is basically everything you need to know about the whole foods plant-based diet, including its potential health benefits, foods to eat, and a sample meal plan. So I hope you guys are just as excited to listen to it as I am to talk about it. So let's first tackle the question, what is a whole foods plant-based diet? What does that mean? What does that entail? And how does that differ from a vegan diet? So there's no clear definition of what constitutes a whole foods plant-based diet. But the whole foods plant-based diet is not necessarily a set diet. It's more of a lifestyle, okay? And this is because plant-based diets can vary greatly depending on the extent to which a person includes animal products in their diet. So that's the great thing about being, you know, on a whole food plant-based diet. It's that it's not very cookie cutter. It means different things for everybody. Nonetheless, the basic principles of a whole foods plant-based diet are, again, that it emphasizes whole, minimally processed foods. So again, you're not going to be eating vegan cheese every day. You're not going to be eating vegan meat all the time. Those things are processed, okay? That's what I was doing 5 years ago. This time around, I'm trying to focus on minimally processed food, whole foods. It also limits or avoids animal products, and whole foods plant-based diet focuses on plants, including vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, seeds, and nuts, which should make up the majority of what you eat. And it excludes refined foods like added sugars, white flour, and processed oils. And it pays special attention to food quality, with many proponents of the whole foods plant-based diet promoting locally sourced organic food whenever possible. And for these reasons, this diet is often confused with vegan or vegetarian diets. Yet, although similar in some ways, these diets are not the same. People who follow vegan diets abstain from consuming any animal products, including dairy, meat, poultry, seafood, eggs, and honey. And I know honey is like a really controversial one, and this is kind of what I was leading to when I was talking about how plant-based diets can vary greatly depending on the extent to which a person includes animal products in their diet. And a lot of it comes from your motive. Like, why? What is your why on being plant-based or being vegan? And my main motive is for the environment. That's my motive for eating plant-based. Someone else's motive for being plant-based might be for their health, they want to lose weight, or they have some type of chronic health condition and their doctor referred them to being on a plant-based diet. Others don't want to be plant-based or be vegan because they don't support animal cruelty. And animal cruelty includes the exploitation of bees. So some vegans don't consume honey. I do consume honey. So that's what I'm saying. The plant-based diet isn't cookie cutter. It's not the same for everybody. It varies across the board. Vegetarians exclude all meat and poultry from their diets, but some vegetarians eat eggs, seafood, or dairy still. The whole foods plant-based diet, on the other hand, is more flexible. Followers eat mostly plants, but animal products aren't completely off limits. So while one person following a whole foods plant-based diet may eat no animal products, another may eat small amounts of eggs, poultry, seafood, meat, or dairy. So to conclude, the overall question of what is a whole foods plant-based diet, what does it consist of? Again, it just emphasizes plant-based foods while minimizing animal products and processed items. So you guys, we're going to come to a very brief break right now. And when we come back, we're going to discuss how plant-based diets can help you lose weight and improve your overall health.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Hey guys, and welcome to GSMC Fitness Podcast. So like I mentioned in the previous segment, we're now going to be diving into how eating a whole food plant-based diet can help you lose weight and improve your overall health. I know many individuals start eating plant-based because they want to lose weight, and I do want to just clear the air with that because I feel very passionate about this whole just everything regarding weight loss. There's so many fads out there that don't really work and that are very short term. You know, you lose weight instantly, but it's not long term. And really, you guys, I think I've said this multiple times throughout this podcast, and I'll continue to emphasize it. The only true way and most sustainable way to lose weight and to keep it off is through eating in a calorie deficit. Again, a calorie deficit. All that means is that you're burning more calories than what you are consuming. So that means be more active, move more, and eat less. That is the basic principle of weight loss. So whether it be plant-based, keto, whatever the case may be, as long as you are in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight. Even if you eat extremely healthy and you are in a calorie surplus, which means you are eating above your maintenance, you are burning, you are eating more calories than you are burning, you're going to gain weight. Like if I were to eat a salad and I were to eat 3,000 calories in salads every day, I'm going to gain weight. Yes, the salad has nutritional value, it's healthy, whatever, but I'm still in a surplus and I'm consuming more calories than I am burning. So I'm still going to gain weight. Does that make sense? I hope so. Because again, I feel passionate in regards to weight loss because there's so many things and products out there that are being sold to the public about weight loss and like, oh, buy this detox tea. You know, you're going to lose this amount of weight. Well, that's a laxative. You're just going to be going to the bathroom a lot. Okay. And like these waist trainers and all this crazy stuff. And like, girl, guy, don't fall into it, okay? Anyway, we all know that obesity is an issue of epidemic proportions. In fact, over 69% of U.S. adults are overweight or obese, which is a very alarming number. That means that 7 out of 10 individuals, almost 7 out of 10 individuals are obese or overweight. Fortunately, making dietary and lifestyle changes can facilitate weight loss and have a lasting impact on health. Many studies have shown that plant-based diets are beneficial for weight loss. The high fiber content of the whole foods plant-based diet, along with the exclusion of processed foods, is a winning combination for shedding excess pounds. A review of 12 studies that included more than 1,100 people found that those assigned to plant-based diets lost significantly more weight, about 4.5 pounds over an average of 18 weeks, than those assigned to non-vegetarian diets. Adopting a healthy plant-based eating pattern may also help keep weight off in the long run. A study in 65 overweight and obese adults found that those assigned to a whole foods plant-based diet lost significantly more weight than the control group and were able to sustain that weight loss of 9.25 pounds over a 1-year follow-up period. So yes, people do lose weight on a plant-based diet. However, you can technically, I know I'm kind of contradicting myself when I say this, but you can technically still lose weight eating, meat. So I do want to put that out there. However, I believe the reason why people are so successful in terms of weight loss through a plant-based diet is because the majority of the foods they are eating hold nutritional value. They provide the feeling of satiety, which means the feeling of fullness. And that's what a lot of vegetables and fruits provide because they're high in fiber. And fiber provides that feeling of fullness, which I wouldn't say suppresses your hunger, but it just fills you up. So you're not hungry, you're not going to your fridge every couple of hours to eat something and snack. So I think that's why plant-based diets are so successful in terms of weight loss, because it provides the feeling of satiety and keeps you fuller for longer, which means you're eating less. Does that make sense? So simply cutting out the processed foods that aren't allowed on a whole foods plant-based diet, like soda, candy, fast food, and refined grains, is a powerful weight loss tool itself. So in a nutshell, many studies have demonstrated that whole food plant-based diets are effective for weight loss and that they may also help you maintain weight loss in the long run. And that's the big key factor, right? When you are embarking on a new diet or lifestyle, you have to think of it in terms of a lifestyle change and not just a diet, something that's temporary. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for myself out of this week-long challenge. I'm hoping to stay plant-based, and I'm hoping to learn something and learn new recipes that I can share with my family. So, I'm excited. I'm really excited about this new diet, but lifestyle change that I'm possibly going through right now. Whole food, plant-based. I'm feeling great. Again, I think I just need to dive a little bit more into my culinary skills and just figure out what pairs well with what. So now that we talked about that, let's get into some more benefits, which are a number of great health benefits in regards to being on a plant-based diet and what chronic health conditions can plant-based diets help in. Adopting a whole food plant-based diet not only benefits your waistline, ladies, but it can also lower your risk and reduce symptoms of certain chronic diseases. First of them is heart disease. Perhaps one of the most well-known benefits of whole food plant-based diets is that they are heart healthy. They are amazing for your heart. However, the quality and types of foods included in a diet matter. A large study in over 200,000 people found that those who followed a healthy plant-based diet rich in vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, and nuts had a significantly lower risk of developing heart disease than those following non-plant-based diets. However, unhealthy plant-based diets that included sugary drinks, fruit juices, and refined grains were associated with a slightly increased risk of heart disease. Consuming the right kinds of food is critical for heart disease prevention when following a plant-based diet, which is why adhering to a whole food plant-based diet is the best choice. Next, chronic health condition that plant-based diets can assist in are in cancer. Research suggests that following a plant-based diet may reduce your risk of certain types of cancer. A study in over 69,000 people found that vegetarian diets were associated with a significantly lower risk of gastrointestinal cancer, especially for those who followed a lacto-ovo vegetarian diet, meaning vegetarians who eat eggs and dairy. I know some of you are like, what the heck is lacto-ovo vegetarian? Another large study in more than 77,000 people demonstrated that those who followed vegetarian diets had a 22% lower risk of developing colorectal cancer than vegetarians. Pescatarians, who are vegetarians who eat fish, had the greatest protection from colorectal cancer with a 43% reduced risk compared to non-vegetarians. So pretty amazing stats here. Next, we have cognitive decline, in which plant-based diets can assist in. Some studies suggest that diets rich in vegetables and fruits may help slow or prevent cognitive decline in Alzheimer's disease in older adults. Plant-based diets have a higher number of plant compounds and antioxidants, which have been shown to slow the progression of Alzheimer's disease and reverse cognitive deficits. In many studies, higher intakes of fruits and vegetables have been strongly associated with the reduction in cognitive decline. A review of 9 studies, including over 31,000 people, found that eating more fruits and vegetables led to a 20% reduction in the risk of developing cognitive impairment or dementia. And then lastly, another U.S. health epidemic we have here is diabetes. Adopting a whole foods, plant-based diet may be an effective tool in managing and reducing your risk of developing diabetes. A study in more than 200,000 people found that those who adhered to a healthy plant-based eating pattern had a 34% lower risk of developing diabetes than those who followed unhealthy, non-plant-based diets. Another study demonstrated that plant-based diets, vegan and lacto-ovo-vegetarian, were associated with nearly a 50% reduction in the risk of type 2 diabetes compared to non-vegetarian diets. Plus, plant-based diets have been shown to improve blood sugar control in people with diabetes. So all in all, you guys, following a whole foods, plant-based diet may reduce your risk of developing heart disease, certain cancers, cognitive decline, and diabetes, which is absolutely amazing. So if you're someone who is suffering through a chronic health condition and you are looking for a non-invasive alternative way of healing your body without the use of, prescription drugs, food is your medicine. Use food to help you, to guide you, to just help your insides, okay? So we're going to come to a very brief break right now. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the link between the plant-based diet and how it's great for the planet.
The GSMC Life and Happiness podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to GSMC Fitness Podcast. So we're now going to be discussing about the amazing benefits of transitioning into a plant-based diet has for the earth, our planet, right? Switching to a plant-based diet not only benefits your health, as we mentioned in the previous segment, but it can also help protect the environment, which is so important right now. Like I said, just step outside of your house, especially if you live in California. Like, it is happening right before our very own eyes. Like, there is no denying that climate change is here and it's happening rapidly, and we need to make some rapid changes, okay? People who follow plant-based diets tend to have smaller environmental footprints. Adopting sustainable eating habits can help reduce greenhouse gas emissions water consumption, and land used for factory farming, which are all factors in global warming and environmental degradation. A review of 63 studies showed that the largest environmental benefits were seen from diets containing the least amount of animal-based foods, such as vegan, vegetarian, and pescatarian diets. The study reported that a 70% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions and land use and 50% less water use could be achieved by shifting Western diet patterns to more sustainable plant-based dietary patterns. What's more, reducing the number of animal products in your diet and purchasing local, sustainable produce helps drive the local economy and reduces reliance on factory farming, an unsustainable method of food production. So, overall, plant-based diets emphasizing local ingredients are more environmentally friendly than diets that rely, heavily on mass-produced animal products and produce. So what should you eat on a whole foods plant-based diet? Because I know some of you may have questions like, where do I start? What can I switch this out with? So from eggs and bacon for breakfast to steak for dinner, animal products are the focus of most meals for many people, right? When switching to a plant-based diet, meals should center around plant-based foods. If animal foods are eaten, they should be eaten in smaller quantities with attention paid to the quality of the item. Foods like, dairy, eggs, poultry, meat, and seafood should be used more as a complement to a plant-based meal and not as, the main focal point. So if there's animal products, say in the sauce that you're using, that could be okay still, even in a plant-based diet. So I have curated here for you guys a mini Whole Foods plant-based shopping list for all of my beginners out there who are in transition to a plant-based lifestyle. I got you covered, okay? So we're going to go in categories of fruits, vegetables, starchy vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats, all of that good stuff, all through condiments. So for fruits, you can buy, anything that you like. Berries, citrus fruits, banana, pineapple, peaches, whatever it is that you like. Vegetables, I like kale, spinach, love tomatoes, broccoli, carrots, peppers. Those are vegetables I like. And that's the thing with vegetables, guys. You need to find vegetables that you like and that you know how to season. And once you properly season them and you got it mastered, girl, you are good to go, okay? For starchy vegetables, we got our potatoes, our sweet potatoes, my favorite, and butternut squash. Whole grains, you can eat brown rice, rolled oats, farro, quinoa, brown rice pasta, barley, etc. For healthy fats, we got our avocados, olive oil, coconut oil, unsweetened coconut, etc. For legumes, we got our peas, our chickpeas, our lentils, our peanuts, our black beans. And then for our unsweetened plant-based milks, we got coconut milk, almond milk, cashew milk, oat milk. I mean, you guys, the possibilities are endless when it comes to plant-based milks. Like, I'm sorry, I may hurt some of y'all feelings by saying this, but if you guys are in 2020 and you're still drinking milk that comes from a cow, I am heavily judging you, okay? Because there is no reason any of us should be drinking milk that comes from cows that is meant to feed their baby cows, you guys. Just how human milk, when women who breastfeed are meant to breastfeed humans, that's the same thing with animals. Like, goat milk is meant for goats, cow milk is meant for cows. So, like, why do humans drink it? Something to leave you guys questioning after today's show. For condiments, you guys can also use salsa. It's a must in my meal plan. We got mustard, nutritional yeast, soy sauce, vinegar, lemon juice. There's lots of options for condiments. And then for plant-based protein, I know this is a big one. A lot of people are like, I need my protein, especially if you are a regular gym goer, weightlifter. I know that's an important aspect for many of us in our diets. So some of plant-based proteins that you can use are tofu, tempeh, plant-based protein sources or powders with no added sugar or artificial ingredients. So just read the ingredient list, and you shall be good to go. And if supplementing your plant-based diet with animal products, just make sure to choose, quality products from grocery stores, or better yet, purchase them, from local farms. So again, a healthy, whole food, plant-based diet should focus on plant foods like vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds. And if you have to eat animal products, they should be eaten in smaller quantities compared to plant foods. Those are like the main points that I want to emphasize, for my beginners out there trying to transition. So I have here a little mini sample meal plan. And, again, for those transitioning to a whole food plant-based diet, just know it doesn't have to be extremely challenging, okay? So I have here set up a day for you, a couple days of success for you. And it does include a small number of animal products, but the extent to which you include animal foods in your diet is completely up to you. I'm just here to kind of spark some ideas, get the wheels turning for you. So for Monday, breakfast, we got oatmeal made with coconut milk, topped with berries, coconut, and walnuts. If you don't like walnuts, you can switch it out for something else. For lunch, you can have a large salad topped with fresh vegetables, any vegetables of your liking, chickpeas for protein, avocado, pumpkin seeds, and goat cheese. For dinner, we got our butternut squash curry. That's for one day. The next day for breakfast, you can have also like a full fat plain yogurt topped with sliced strawberries, unsweetened coconut, and pumpkin seeds. For lunch, you can have meatless chili. And then for dinner, you can have sweet potato and black bean tacos, which are honestly so freaking good and my favorite. Then for Wednesday, you have our breakfast, which is a smoothie made with unsweetened coconut milk, berries, peanut butter, and unsweetened plant-based protein powder. For lunch, you can have a hummus and veggie wrap. And then for dinner, you can have zucchini noodles tossed in pesto with chicken meatballs. And then lastly, we got for another different day for breakfast, you can have a savory oatmeal with avocado, salsa, and black beans. For lunch, you can have quinoa, veggie, and feta salad. And then for dinner, you can have grilled fish with roasted sweet potatoes and broccoli. So the common theme with those 4 days of plant-based meals that I gave you guys is that the meals focus heavily on whole food, plant-based, with a little bit of animal products here and there, but those aren't the main, they don't make up the main portion of the meal. It's still heavily plant-based, nutritional value is through the roof, but just limiting your animal products. So transitioning can be really easy. Like I said, switch out, one meal at a time and then just slowly increase as time goes on. So you guys, that's going to wrap up today's episode here at the GSMC Fitness Podcast. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's episode regarding, plant-based diets and how to transition into a plant-based diet. And I hope that it was useful and it was of value for many of you who are thinking about transitioning. Again, if you are plant-based yourself, you are vegan, please leave your comments and suggestions down below because I would love to hear from you. And also let us know how long you've been doing it for. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you like today's episode, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff because that tremendously helps the show. And I'll catch you guys here for the next one.
You've been listening to the GSMC Fitness Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Google Play, and any app where you listen to podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of the shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, from business news to weird news, we cover it all. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook and listen to these podcasts on YouTube. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's podcast.